Mayor, the meeting's yours.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Certainly good to see all of you today. I want to welcome you to the Vinton Town Council meeting for this Tuesday afternoon, May the 2nd already. And as always, we will start with the roll call.
Councilmember Lyles.
Here.
Councilmember McCarty.
Here.
Councilmember Mullins.
Here.
Vice Mayor Stovall.
Here.
Mayor Gross.
Here. Thank you for that. Okay, the next couple items, I'll ask you to stand. We use the moment of silence here in the town of Vinton. That way everyone can pray or meditate as they see fit. If you choose to pray, and I hope you will, I certainly plan to, I would ask you to keep this country, this community, and this council meeting in your thoughts and prayers. And while we're standing, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Lyles, you're in charge of that. Who's going to do that this evening?
Well, we're very lucky tonight that
Of course.
the star of the Star City's assistant has agreed to do the pledge tonight, and that would be Skylar.
Oh, all right, all right. Well, we have a lot of stars here tonight.
We do.
I'm
Yeah,
glad
you had
We do.
So if you'll stand for those items, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, folks. The next item is review of citizen guidelines. I just wanted to make you aware that the agenda is available at the door as well as our guidelines for conduct. And after that, we will talk about community events. So, Councilmember McCarty.
Okay, for the Vinton History Museum, Saturday, May the 6th, they have First Saturday. It's a spring pop-up sale, and they will be closed on Memorial Day. The farmers market is open Tuesday through Friday from 9 to 5, and on Saturdays from 9 to 2, and come shop local produce. On Saturday, the 27th, they're doing a story time on the stage, learn about local food production, celebrate summer, and participate in educational kids activities. That sounds fun. On the 20th, the town event will have a public paper shred event from 10 to 1 at the municipal building in the rear parking lot. The event Palooza's at the War Memorial front lawn from 1 to 6 on the 20th. And there's also a Vinton car show on the 20th at the Vinton Farmers Market from 3 to 6 p.m. We also encourage everyone to visit the other venues and event venues in the community, such as Rosie's, Lancelot, Twin Creeks, Vinton Bowling, Defy Gravity. We have lots of different places that offer lots of stuff, so please go on their websites and check that out. And for more information, you can always check what's happening in Vinton on the In Vinton Facebook page, and don't forget to like and share.
All right.
I think that's it.
Okay, thank you, man. Always something fun to do in Vinton, right? All right, Councilman Mullins, what have the council members been up to the last couple of weeks?
Well, we've had a couple of things. On April 27th, Mayor Gross attended the Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission meeting. On the same day, Vice Mayor Stovall attended the Roanoke Valley Transportation Organization meeting. On the 28th of April, Mayor Gross attended the Arbor Day celebration. And May the 1st, Mayor Gross attended the East Cleveland Redevelopment Project Committee meeting. And also, don't forget, on the 29th, Olive Council was in the Dogwood Parade.
Yes, we were.
So great.
And that was a lot of fun, for sure. Yeah, we had a great day for that. Next item is request to postpone or change anything on the agenda. We okay, folks? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. This evening, it contains the minutes of the regular meeting of April 18th, 2023. Are there any changes or additions? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, now to the fun part of the meeting, which are the awards and recognitions. And we have a proclamation this evening, and a very special guest with us, Rick Formey. I should know by now. I've seen you quite a few years. And Councilmember Mullins has a special proclamation, and we'll give you a chance to say a few words if you'd like. Okay.
All righty. Whereas the month of May has been designated the GBS and CIDP Awareness Month to educate the public and to focus attention on Guillain-Barré syndrome and chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy, rare, paralyzing, and potentially catastrophic disorders of the peripheral nerves. And whereas the cause of GBS and CIDP is unknown, the length of the illness is unpredictable. It is characterized by rapid onset of weakness and often paralysis of the legs, arms, breathing muscles, and face. GBS or CIDP can develop in any person at any age, regardless of gender or ethnic background. And whereas in 1980, the Guillain-Barré Foundation International, now the GBS CIDP Foundation International, was founded to provide a support network to patients and their families through the national office headquartered in Philadelphia and its 180 chapters with more than 40,000 members throughout the United States, Canada, Asia, Europe, Australia, South America, and South Africa. And whereas Rick Forney is the liaison for the local area chapter, serving as the link between patients, physicians, nurses, and families, the foundation provides educational materials, including a comprehensive booklet. And whereas the foundation's medical advisory board includes prominent neurologists active in GBS and CIDP research, leading physicians in rehabilitation medicine, and physicians who themselves have had the disorder. The month of May 2023 is proclaimed the GBS CIDP Awareness Month in the town of Vinton, and all citizens are asked to recognize the importance of raising awareness of GBS and CIDP.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And Rick, if you'd like to come up, she's got the proclamation for you. All right. Thank you, Lori.
Yes, sir.
And you want to?
A few words.
Yes, sir.
This is
Please.
very rare syndrome. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, council members, everyone here. Unfortunately, 15 years ago, I drank contaminated water unknowingly, and within a matter of 2 weeks, I fell, shattered my femur, was out of state, was in the hospital for over 17 days, and the doctor leaned over the bed at the time of age of 55, said, "I'm not sure if you're ever going to walk again." Realizing how precious things are, life is, I didn't know what to do. Fortunately, a year and a half later, I rehabbed here in my home, and I was able to learn to walk again. I still have, 15 years later, issues, and it's one of those things I'm not going to stop giving for the foundation. I have an opportunity to talk to the local TV station, channel 2127, and talk about the syndrome, raising awareness, and I just finished a meeting at the donation center on Franklin Road. Plasma helps others have a better quality of life. So please think about donating plasma. It helps many people in different ways, and without that, these people cannot go on. I don't need it, but the ones that have CIDP, it's chronic, it's reoccurring, they have to have these infusions every 3 to 4 weeks for a better quality of life. That's all I'm asking for. I appreciate the time to designate this May Awareness Month. I can always count on Vinton. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being here. I think you probably visited us this year, about this time every year, if I'm not mistaken. So always good to see you, Rick.
Mayor, if I may, I'd just like to thank Lori for reading that proclamation.
Yeah, you did a good job.
You're welcome.
She did good. They had it right here, and it had too many big words. You did a fabulous job.
Yes, you
Thank
did.
you, thank you, thank you. What are you saying is I'm the brains of the operation? No, I'm just, I just read it.
Yeah, that's accurate. So, all right, no, seriously, we do thank you. Nice job. Nice job. Okay, our next proclamation Vice Mayor Stovall has is for National Police Week, and after that, Chief will give you an opportunity to say a few words if you'd like, please.
My pleasure, Mr. Mayor. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as a Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as Police Week. And whereas the members of the Vinton Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of the town of Vinton. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas the Vinton Police Department has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency and provides a vital public service. The week of May 14th and May 20th, 2023 is proclaimed as National Police Week in the town of Vinton. And all citizens of the town and surrounding areas that are served by the Vinton Police Department are asked to observe this week and to join Town Council in recognizing officers for their faithful, loyal devotion to duty and dedicated service to their community.
Thank you, sir.
And folks, as you very well know, we've got one of the best police departments there ever was. Yes, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, town staff, everyone that's in attendance. It's always been abundantly clear how supportive of our elected body and everyone in attendance in our community is supportive of our police department, not just during Police Week, but throughout the calendar year. We receive tremendous support from all of you, and we're very appreciative of that. But in this particular week, we of course recognize those that have tragically lost their lives while in their tour of duty. Many that have fallen far too young, far too quick, but we recognize the tremendous impact that they've made in the communities that they serve, and then we use that week to reflect on the lives of Americans that have laid down everything at a cost for their community. It's a selfless sacrifice, and the final action of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice that solidify to us that there's no greater calling than to serve others. Thank you all once again for the recognition. We're blessed to be able to serve this community, and we'll continue to do so. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We're all very proud of our police department, and Chief, it's not difficult at all to be supportive because we know how dedicated you folks are. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Everyone. All right, special recognitions, Mr. Town Manager.
Mayor Gross, members of council, I'd like to ask Dana, Amanda, Caroline, and Chastity to come up front, please. So, as some of you may already know, the Vinton War Memorial has been selected as the best place to have a corporate meeting or conference for the Roanoke Magazine Best of Reader Poll 2023. So I wanted this opportunity to thank the ladies publicly for all the hard work you do. It's amazing the compliments that we continue to receive about your stellar customer service, your presentation when you host an event. It continues to exceed expectations. And as council has been recently briefed upon, we've set a new record in both rentals, the revenue associated with those rentals, and that's all attributed to the great work that each of you do. So we wanted to to publicly recognize each of you, and I have a little gift for you. Dana, you get two because today's your birthday.
All right.
So again, thank you all for your very hard work. And we're very thankful, very fortunate to have each of you. Cassie, this no slight to you. I mean, you have an amazing team. I know you work very hard to provide the resources to these ladies. So thank you for all your leadership as well.
Thank you, Drew.
Council, would you like to say anything?
Council?
Yeah, I do.
Go for it.
I've been on town council for getting ready, I'm serving my third term, and when we first started looking at the balance sheet, the War Memorial was not doing very well at all. And you ladies have definitely turned it around, and it always helps to have a good leader that you want to work together for. So thank you so much. This really means a lot. It is, the War Memorial is a beautiful venue. It is right here in Benton, so we're excited about that. And it seems like you ladies have done an awesome job, so I just want to say thanks.
All right. Anyone else?
I'm loving the pictures on Facebook of all the different decor and setups, and you guys hit it out of the park every time. And I think each one of you has a talent for certain things, and they all come together, and it's just perfect. And thank you guys very much. Thank you, Chastity.
Go ahead.
And happy birthday.
I'll go after you. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm serving my second term, and I know that when the town spent a lot of money to renovate the War Memorial, the citizens weren't too happy, and I don't think council at the time was too happy with how much it cost. It was way over budget, and it didn't make money for a long time. So for it to start turning a profit now is huge, and it's dedication to you, your dedication to the War Memorial. I too look at all the pictures, and to be voted like number one with everything else that's in this community, it's a big accomplishment. You guys should be very proud.
You know, when you hire the employees, you want to get the employees off the top of the tree, the high-hanging employees. And like Keith just said, when you think about all the different places that people could go for a conference, and they choose the Benton War Memorial, and they didn't choose the Benton War Memorial because of us. They choose the Benton War Memorial because of the hard work of you ladies and what you do for them. And the thing about it is, you know, you can't just set the tables up, but where I believe they vote for something like this is when they get there and there's some type of crisis. And you handle that crisis for them. You make it easy for them. They've got a presentation room full of people, and they walk out feeling good about the War Memorial, and that's what brings them back. So on behalf of this community, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, congratulations. We certainly want to thank you for all the hard work you do every day. And there's a lot of aspects of your job, I realize that. But the finished product always comes out great. I think our State of the Town was a good example. It really looked good. It came off well. So we appreciate so much what you folks do. I guess the bottom line is there's certainly a financial aspect to it and an appearance aspect, but the big thing is you folks represent Benton well. You know, everyone comes away with a good feeling, and they appreciate what you do for them when they have an event there. I hear it all the time. So thank you for doing such a good job in representing the town so well. Great job, ladies.
Dana, you got your last.
We got a pyramided. Me and Amanda are the shorty ones. Is that good, or we got? Obviously, I'm the one who's OCD about it.
I got you.
Angel. Thank you.
If you would mind sticking up here for a few more minutes. So also, and before I get into this piece, I would like to say that Cassie and I, Angie, we've discussed recognizing our other businesses in the community who have also been chosen as the best of 3-year poll. So at a future council meeting, we'll organize the list, and we'll invite those businesses to come, and we'll recognize each of them that represent the Benton community as far as the businesses are concerned.
Awesome. Yeah, great. That is a good idea. I like that.
So I don't think this is much of a secret anymore.
Oh, man, look here. Oh, man.
And this is not for you, actually. So we're extremely, obviously, extremely proud of Chastity. I've had the distinct pleasure of working with her since my first day here. She's the one employee I've worked with directly for my entire tenure, and it's been my pleasure. I've really enjoyed seeing Chastity grow professionally. Her personality has always been,
Great.
But to see her, what she's become in the community, what she's become beyond the community to represent Vinton, but represent herself extremely well. So I'm very proud of her. So this is just a fitting kind of, not that she's done, but this is just a nice recognition that to be named the female star of the Star City. I think that's pretty amazing and pretty awesome. So we just wanted, this is, Angie is participating in this as well. And so I just wanted to publicly thank you for all you do, how you represent the town, and what an achievement.
So if I put this in my office, I'll have to send my mom this, 'cause she always says, "You're so vain." No, thank y'all very much. This is a great surprise, I tell you. Too funny.
You took down some heavy competition, I bet, too. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, it was quite the honor, but the surprise. But yeah, I say it's Vinton because it's happening. So, I mean, all kudos to the town of Vinton and all you guys. So thank y'all very much. This is awesome. I don't know where I will put this.
I'm sure you'll find
You
a
mean right out
place.
here in the lobby?
Right. Or like Pete's office.
Someplace very prominent, right? Yeah.
Thank y'all very much. This is
Well,
very nice.
Chastity, just want to say briefly, thank you. Goodness, you and I go back a few years, more than we want to admit, but you've always been a great person, an honorable person, and the kind of person that we like to have representing Vinton. And we've known for a long time that you do a great job, and now with this coverage from the Roanoke, a lot of other people know it too. So there again, thank you for the great job and for the way you represented our town.
Thank you.
Thank
y'all.
you.
I think we did already.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. If you do. All right. Are you still up?
I think I'm next on.
Wait,
Well, just
Jake first,
briefly.
citizen comments.
Yeah. Just briefly, let me mention the next section is citizen comments. If anyone has anything that they want to contribute that's not listed on the agenda. If not, we will move on to your section then, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Gross, members of council once again. I am going to do my best to review the budget this evening. As you're sure I'm fully aware, I don't do the bulk of the organizing of this budget, and I want to recognize Cody and Andrew for their hard work, Antonia, but it takes a true team to pull this together. And you know, we're in a very fortunate position in the town of Vinton. Things are going well, but it's all attributed to the group that I get to work with every day. So thank them for all they're doing. So this is a typical budget presentation. We're going to go through some of the highlights of the budget, and feel free to stop me along the way if you have any questions. There will be a series of presentations in the next two council meetings on this. So this won't be the last time you hear it, and it's not the first time. We've been reviewing this since the retreat, when we had a work session a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not sure where Debbie went, but
I think she's taking a picture.
So first of all, I just wanted to kind of reiterate, mostly for any public that may be watching this tonight or in the future, we are following the town council strategic plan. So council adopted this in 2020, and we have had success of framing the budget and our requests for our work program on how we're funding that work program based on the strategies and goals that you have established through your 5-year strategic plan. As we discussed in the previous retreat, you know, we're approaching the end of that 5-year plan. and we'll be updating that in more of a substantial manner next year. But that is the basis of how we've organized our budget once again. Some of the budget highlights, as tradition in Benton, we are a balanced budget. Some of the notable changes, you'll see in some of the breakouts of the departments, there's a substantial decrease in the town manager's budget, and that's just a staffing allocation. We restored the economic development budget, and Marshall, our economic development specialist, was moved out of the manager's budget and into the economic development budget. So it's not an addition, it's just a reallocation. But you'll see a pretty significant change there. Consolidated the senior program with the War Memorial, and we wanted to highlight this because we're not eliminating the senior program. But if someone was to look in the budget, they're not going to find that department any longer. But we're looking at that as a facility, a campus. So the War Memorial and the Senior Center, or the Community Center, has been combined. And we share the same staff. We share a lot of the same maintenance. The only thing difference is the type of programming that we'll maintain and continue in the community building for our seniors. But that has also grown exponentially in what we're doing in rentals at the senior center. So it's kind of matching what we're doing at the War Memorial as far as our rentals. So we just wanted to highlight that. And I want to also call out the debt service. So while we have recently been very proud to state that we are debt free, we do maintain a little debt on our books, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But the debt that we maintain on our books is covered by others. So in some cases, it's the public safety building that Roanoke County took ownership of, and they are compensating us for that remaining debt. And then the other case, primarily, it's the Water Authority who have assumed the debt when they took the transfer of the utility system. But so if we say we're debt free, but someone looks at the budget and sees that there's some debt service, I just wanted to provide some explanation there. We've also continued to invest in our personnel. We have proposed a 7% COLA increase for all employees, and then there is an additional compensation being allocated for Public Works and Police Department. We feel like those are the two most challenging positions to fill, is the laborer position and obviously our police officers. It's very competitive, and there's just a small employee pool to pull from. And so we want to do a really good job of not only retaining who we have, but we need to be competitive to recruit the best talent to Vinton. We don't want to necessarily settle for what's available. We want to get the best. And so we've made substantial investments in those two departments, but also we value all of our employees in all of our departments. And we want, again, we've made some strides over the last couple of years to kind of get our salaries where, again, we could recruit and retain some of the best talent. And we feel like the 7% maintains that because everyone else around us continues to elevate, and we didn't want to fall again behind. So it's aggressive, but we think it's necessary and supported in the work that we're doing, that our efforts to retain and attract talent's working well. And I just want to remind that there was no health insurance adjustments this year. We remained whole on that. You'll see some evidence of supporting economic development. We've never stopped. It's been successful. It's helped us get to the point we are today financially. But you'll see some individual calls out for that support. And we have even 2 performance agreements that you'll hear about a little bit later from Marshall. And as an example of that, and we have a guest with us tonight that's a beneficiary of one of those performance agreements that we'll introduce a little bit later. And we have, once again, another aggressive capital improvement plan. There was a substantial period of time in the town's history that we weren't able to adequately support our CIP. And so we have a lot of catch up to do. Again, it's an aggressive plan, but we do feel like it's with the staffing you've allocated to us and the reorganization of some of the other positions that we have the capital to pull it off, both figuratively and literally. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail. This is a year-over-year comparison of the previous year adopted versus what's proposed. I'll highlight a few of these things for you. There is a 22% increase in the general fund. This is primarily attributed to the first payment of the West Virginia Water Authority. So it was an inflated payment up front, and then it backs off each year for 3 years. And so there's a $2 million and some change increase there. $1.5 million of that is a payment from the Water Authority. The grant fund, that is the significant decrease there is because of the ARPA funds. We received our payment on the ARPA last year. That's not going to appear this year, and so you'll see that pretty dramatic drop off there. Utility fund, that's some history there we wanted to just identify for everyone, but the utility, we no longer have that. We'll actually close that fund at the end of this fiscal year, and it will no longer appear in the future outlying years. The capital fund, this is a pretty significant drop, but it's not indicative of the amount of work we're doing. A lot of the existing projects in this year won't be completed, and the will roll over a good number of those projects, the funding for it. And so what you see there, 1.3 and some change, is new money that we're budgeting for the CIP. So some of that will kind of overlap between the 2 years. The stormwater fund, we do make a transfer from the general fund to cover our stormwater expenses. We just allocate that separately on the books. And then you see that all those totals kind of balancing that out. It's a 19% decrease, but a lot of that is variables of money that we receive from others. There's a little bit more expansive view of our revenues, and we're going to go through each of these, but this is just kind of a snapshot of all the revenues. I won't go into great detail here because we will on the subsequent slides, but that you'll see that again, that 22% increase there, it was reflected on the first slide, and how we achieved that. Before I move on, is there any particular questions? But again, we'll kind of going to break these down a little bit deeper. So general fund revenues, this is just a linear forecast that kind of shows you the outlying years and how we're trending. It has been our management practice to budget conservatively, and you'll see that reflected in this. We probably could have inflated some of our revenues a little bit more and overbuilt in some cases our expenses to meet that, but we prefer to be more conservative, reasonable, attainable, but not overinflate what is possible. And this also gives us a little bit of comfort should we start to slide into a recession or a semi-recession of some sort. We have a little cushion. Our preference is to overachieve, and then we'll give you the option during the year if you want to allocate those additional revenues towards a particular priority. Then we have that flexibility in that case. So it's worked well over the last several years, and we've continued that approach in this year's budget. So if we break the general fund revenues down a little bit in more specifics, real estate, you'll see the trend there. It's just property values, which is, in some cases, that's a really good thing for local governments to see your community continue to grow as far as the valuations go. And these are based on, again, a conservative approach. We do have a lot of assistance, obviously, from Roanoke County with the evaluation process, so it's not all just our estimates. It's based on their work as well. Personal property. Again, I'm not going to go into great detail on some of these. They speak for themselves. The idea is we, again, continue to be conservative in our estimates, but we do see positive growth in each of these categories, which is what any local government could hope for. Sales tax, I'll highlight this in the sense that these are based on the same budget that Roanoke County is expecting, because our share of state sales tax actually is derived from a portion of what Roanoke County receives from the state. So again, this isn't just our estimates. This is based on what Roanoke County expects to receive and then our allocation of that. So that you can see the growth. Some of this can be attributed to increase in volume, but in large part, this also mirrors the inflation we've experienced in the economy. The sales just cost more, therefore the tax collected on those are greater. So some of that is experienced just within the, and you can see that represented in the meals tax as well. And didn't even mean to segue there, but there's the meals tax slide. You can see that that growth. This is the one that's outperformed most of our expectations. I know that just a few years ago, we proposed a meals tax increase to town council, and it wasn't really, we were just trying to catch up with our neighbors. All of our neighbors around us were up to that point of a 6% meals, and this was actually before McAdoo's, if you remember, was actually in town. But with the addition of a number of additional sit-down restaurants, it's given us not only the ability to retain our own residents that are now dining within town limits, but we are certainly become a destination, and we'll continue to do so with announcements like 107 that we'll talk about a little bit later tonight. But adding that additional, not only restaurant for the food and menu options, but the entertainment option of having, live music in town, that continues to grow, and just a place to socialize and a place to get together with friends and family. You didn't necessarily have that opportunity in Benton not that long ago, and so to have these businesses invest in Benton and then actually be very successful, and we be the beneficiary of some of that success, is helping us then reinvest those revenues back into our public infrastructure. But this is just a great example of some of the growth that I think council should be recognized for the forethought of putting some effort into growing that segment of one of the taxes we were probably under capturing, and I think we're taking advantage of that. Business license, BPOL speaks for itself. You can continue to see growth. We are doing extremely well with the number of businesses, not just their sales, but the number of businesses that are based in Benton is remarkable over the last several years. And just highlight, there is no proposed tax increase there. Parimutuel, I think we all have talked about that. This is one that we could certainly budget more. Our expectation is kind of the trend is that we could probably budget more than we did or plan for more. But again, we want to be conservative, and we need a little bit more history under our belt. It wasn't that long in 2019 that they opened their doors, and then a year later they opened the additional machines, the terminals, and grew to 500. There are more terminals coming online in this upcoming year across the state, which expands the pool that we'll be factored into. So there is potential that we could even see some additional growth. But we don't have quite the history behind us yet to develop those trends like we do with real estate and vehicle values and those type things. And we don't have a lot. It's a complicated formula to calculate. And we don't have a lot of other localities that we can, like Roanoke County and a lot of the other taxes, we can kind of fact check with what they're experiencing. This is a little bit more difficult because every location is a little unique. And so Rosie's, the management group is very helpful, and they walk us through routinely, and we have constant communication with them, and they are really good at forecasting. They know their business extremely well, and every time that they've given us a expectation, they've in most cases exceeded it. But I'm finding that they're really good at their business, and they know what they're going to generate. These are some of the expenditures. So this is a breakdown on kind of how we're segmented in the different. It's not necessarily department, but some of the categories of our expenditures and how they're broken out. The general administration, that reduction is primarily, again, it's not exclusively our economic development specialist, but the majority of that is where we've moved him out of the town manager's budget into economic development, or restored it to economic development. You don't see economic development up there. That's under community development. Yeah. So it's a little bit hidden there, but you'll see some growth in community development. See, that represents not only economic development, but also some programs that we restored. So when I was more in that position full time, we had some funding mechanisms to incentivize various projects to get underway, whether it be facade improvement or some other smaller performance agreement incentives. We kind of backed off on those. Some of those were were well-funded, like the facade grant. And we had a pretty good pool of resources kind of waiting to be applied for, and we've went through those, and that's a good thing, and now we need to restore some of those funds. So some of these programs are just reflective of the more targeted approach we're going to be taking, and then some of the programs that just need to be restored in their funding. And then don't be alarmed about the performance agreements. I mean, we're still going to be doing those. That's just, it reflects the actual individual dollar amount of some of the agreements we've done. Public Works, you'll see a big jump there. That's the majority of that's paving, so it's not necessarily a salary. It's most of that's just the capital that is built into the operating budget, designated for paving. So we're going to do at least $1 million, maybe a little bit more in paving this year. So you'll see some of that in the CIP, and you'll see some of that, well, it's all reflected in the Public Works allocation. So that big jump is mostly contributed to that, but we also had an employee, Jamie Hurt, who was our capital projects manager, was previously funded from ARPA funds. And so we absorbed him into our operational general fund expenditures, and he's reflected in Public Works. And the other one I wanted to highlight, public safety. It's primarily our police department. So some of that is salary, some of the upgrades and the adjustments we've made in trying to be competitive with our police department. And then some technology that we've invested in, equipment, and some technology that the department had requested and council graciously funded. And so you'll see the increases there represent those initiatives. Basically the same slide, just broken out into graph form. You'll see that Public Works and PD represent over 50% of our operational budget, and I think that's reflective of council's priorities. It takes people to provide those two services, and that's where the bulk of our residents actually see their tax dollars represented, is the work that we do on the streets, collecting the refuse and keeping them safe. So I think that continues to represent your priorities over the service. Any questions before I move? I'm going through this kind of fast, so slow me down if necessary. This is a summary of our staffing levels. So there's most everything there will be familiar to you. You'll see a little bit of change there in administration. Again, that represents last year, Marshall and Jamie would have been reflected in administration. We broke those out. Economic development and building maintenance. So you'll see two building maintenance there. That's Jamie and actually Toby. And Toby is the kind of the one out on the front lines actually doing a lot of the actual labor aspect of building maintenance. You'll see finance kind of remaining solid, HR, planning and zoning, the police department. I'll get into that. This is a good spot. We've actually frozen two positions. So we froze one. These are two full-time positions that we're not eliminating. We're not recommending reducing them, but we just froze them temporarily. We did this again because a conservative approach. We felt like our most priority was to compensate for recruitment and retention. And so part of the way we funded that additional above the 7% for PD and Public Works is by freezing a position. We're having difficulty filling those positions, again, recruiting bodies to fill them. And so while we're set on that salary on a body we can't hire, and we can put it into the take-home pay of the ones that are actually working for us. All while also hopefully getting our salaries up to where we're more competitive. Now, I will say that we'll continue to watch the budget, the revenues and the expenditures over the next year. And if we get to a point where we're fully staffed otherwise and we have a stellar candidate in PD, I will probably come back to council and recommend we unfreeze that mid-year in order to capture that employee when we need them, when we have them, because we're going to have future vacancies, and it will kind of self-balance itself in all likelihood. I hope we have a problem where we don't have vacancies, but Chief, you've been here how many years, and you can probably count on one finger how many times we've been fully staffed. So, and Public Works is in the same kind of condition. It's just a difficult labor market to recruit, and why set on the salary when we can put it towards the folks that we are employing, and doing exceptional
Just for the
work.
budget purposes, you've got those two built into the budget.
They're built in, yes, as a frozen position to fund those
Right.
additional compensation increases. But through other salary savings or revenues outperforming, again, if we get to a point where we have to make a decision to unfreeze, we'll come and we'll talk to you about it to get confirmation. But we would only do it in a responsible manner when we feel like we can manage it. But you'll see that we're down to 69 employees, and I think we're doing more for the amount of employees we have. I think it's a lean and mean organization for sure. These are just some of the breakdown within the funds on those expenditure categories. So personnel represents about 43% of our total budget. We are people. Without the people, we can't do the job. So even though we're a slim organization, the bulk of our expenses go toward the personnel. You'll see the operating monies there broken out over the two funds, the capital. You guys have really funded the CIP in the last several years, so you'll see that number has grown. And the debt, we wanted to highlight while, that's 8% of our budget, it's not our money. That's the money that we're receiving. Majority of it, I'd say the vast majority of that is coming from others that we're paying our books that remains on our debt. And then the transfers, are general fund monies that we put into the capital fund or the stormwater fund. So that it still stays within our budget, but we're transferring within funds. And that makes up the totals. And that's basically the same information, just again in graph form. I'll pause there for just a quick moment so you can kind of again see the bulk of our general fund budget is spent in personnel. This is the list of the CIP. This is the results of the work session we had at the last council meeting. So your project priorities have been reflected in this CIP. Again, $336 million for CIP, but there will be some projects that will be rolling over from the current year that are not completed, well, we'll just say not completed or not. Some of the product not available at the time, but so that's still. There were many years where we were funding only paving at maybe I think maybe the lowest year was $325,000 since I've been here, and we just didn't have a lot to go around. So to have consecutive, let's say we've been 3 years, I believe now with a CIP over $1 million. Last year was well over $2 million. So we're definitely taking those revenues, the growth, and putting them back into infrastructure. Most of this represents infrastructure improvements or investment in new business to then generate additional revenues to then, reinvest. So it's a cycle that you need to be in and we'd like to be in, and this is what reflects of your strategic plan. And just in parting, a couple of the dates, we're doing the budget briefing this evening. We have a budget public hearing scheduled for May 16th. And then our expectation is to adopt the budget on June 6th, unless we have any major changes in the meantime. But I'm happy to answer any questions. I know it was a kind of a fast review. You have the draft budget books. We were delivered yesterday, so take some time with those. Obviously, reach out to Cody, Andrew, or myself if you have any particular questions. In the meantime, Ms. Adams, I sincerely apologize. I had a budget book built for her, and I did not deliver it. So I was in your neighborhood, and I failed to do so. So that's on me, and I apologize for that. I have it in my office. I'll give it to you before you leave tonight. So again, if I have any questions, gentlemen, did I miss anything of significance? If not, you coached me really well, so thank you.
Pete, that was a great presentation, and like I say, you hit a lot of the highlights there. So it seems as though to me the budget discussion, you mentioned is ongoing. It's actually practically year-round nowadays,
Yes, sir.
So it's something we're all, by this stage of the game, we're pretty familiar with. One of the big things I heard, no tax rate increase. So I love that. And out of debt, can't beat it.
Free.
Yeah, debt free. That's right. So
All right, well, we will be back at the next council meeting to do this again. So in the
Great.
meantime, if you have any questions, give us a shout, and we'll try to get those answers for you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Pete, if I will, just for council and the public's benefit, the public hearing will occur on May 16th for the budget. That ad will appear in the Benton Messenger this Thursday, and then run also the next Thursday for 2 opportunities for folks to see that. So it'll occur on the 16th at 6.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. Thank
Yeah,
you,
good
sir.
job, Pete. I just like to say, I've been through a few of these now, and they just keep getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I love it.
Yep, good way to put it. Keep getting better. All right. And as Pete mentioned, we'll have a lot of opportunities to talk about the budget between now and the time for approval, so thank you. With that, we'll move on to our items that require some action tonight. And I guess our first presenter will be Chief Drummond and Mandy.
Yes, sir.
Lee.
I'm gonna go up here.
Okay. I understand you're going to talk about the Marcus Alert Program, right?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna lay the table, the foundation, and then, of course, let the pros handle it from there. Where I'll discuss Marcus Alert. We've talked in the past a little bit of our relationship as far as law enforcement and mental health and the challenges there are in mental health, as far as the logistics, of course, and the amount of time that an officer may spend with a patient at a locality or a hospital. It can differentiate from very quickly to 8 hours to 24 hours to much longer. First and foremost, we're very blessed to have Mandy Lee working alongside with Blue Ridge Behavioral. A lot of our accomplishments, a lot of the logistics that involve mental health, it really doesn't happen without her help. And unfortunately for her, she gave every officer her cell number. So it's a 24/7 deal for her because they blow up her phone because mental health is such a big component in the Roanoke Valley. So Marcus Alert took shape in 2018 as a result of the death of a school teacher, 24-year-old school teacher in the city of Richmond who was having a mental health crisis and was in contact with the Richmond City police officer. As a result of that, during the Governor Northam administration, Marcus Alert took shape, which is a multifaceted, multi-tiered approach to mental health. Because as it stands today, and up until Marcus Alert becomes into effect, we are the de facto response towards mental health. If there's an emergency or crisis, police officer is responding, and of course we respond, we bring them to the appropriate resources, but there is that in between where law enforcement is having the engagement with the patient, and there's rooms for improvement just like anything else, and that's where Marcus Alert takes shape, and I'll certainly let Ms. Lee take shape of that. But the underlying goal that was signed into law in 2020 by Governor Northam at the time was the multi-staged phase timeline framework for localities to follow and improve mental health response, meaning try to take care of it on the front end if possible, have that multi-level approach to where maybe the officer doesn't have to take a patient to the hospital and it can be triaged out in the field through a clinician, and that in return saves an officer time being at the hospital and being at the community that they serve. It's of course one of the goals is it says to diminish the roles in response to behavioral health crisis, diminish my role as law enforcement, but I would argue that we're really not diminishing it. We're just putting better use to roles and implementing a lot more effective ones and complementing each other in what we are. Shift primary response to qualified behavioral health professionals, meaning we have clinicians that are available as a resource to law enforcement to respond with us, and Ms. Lee will talk about that. Involve police in supporting role when necessary for public safety, prioritize de-escalation and non-lethal force, of course, decriminalize behavioral health crisis and reduce stigma. What that really means is law enforcement, as resilient and as bright as the men and women that serve for us are, we do have professionals that go to school and have years of experience that are much better suited to respond to these things, or at least be a liaison and help us through this. And communications is a big part of it as well during the triage, meaning our 911 center, and that's a big piece as to why the town of Vinton and our police department is going to be a part of Marcus Alert, because like any other laws, there's laws and then there's how you read it, and it can be very mundane and black and white and tough to interpret. That's why we have smart folks like Mandy that will interpret it in plain language for us. But there is shalls and mays as far as localities, depending on population. What's the challenge in the Roanoke Valley is you have the city of Salem, you have the city of Roanoke, you have Roanoke County, you have the town of Vincent, and in this case, you have the service area, which is Craig County as well, Botetourt County. I got everybody? And then you have the mental health providers, which is Blue Ridge Behavioral, Frontier Health, and probably a list of other ones that are all involved. These are all stakeholders that somehow Mandy managed to get us all together in one room and talk about how do we do this thing better, partly because the law is requiring us to do so. Where it comes into relationship with us is we share a communication center with the Roanoke County Dispatch Center. A big component of Marcus Alert is that front-end triage that our dispatch center will be not only trained in, but a clinician may also be in that room depending on how the logistics is set up to triage a patient initially through the phone and get that appropriate response. If it's, of course, an extenuating response where law enforcement is needed immediately, traditional as usual, we will go. But if it's something that they may just be able to speak to a clinician, there's going to be that resource too. Because as it stands today, you call, the police are going, and that's it. And of course, we contact Mandy Lee and get the best course of action. And of course, reduce arrest, traumatization, increase treatment and support. The ultimate goal is treatment and support, and maybe reduce the call volume, meaning get it in the front end, get it right the first time, get the resources that are needed. That way we can actually treat patients and get the quality of life better. And of course, have law enforcement focus on law. Pretty good?
Yep.
Sounded good. Good job, Chief. Yeah, I did.
Good, sound great, yes.
Yeah.
Hello, thank
Good
you for
evening,
having
Mandy.
me. Thank you so much. Yes, I was going to ask you.
It's just down going up.
Perfect. So just to give you guys some, you stole my thunder on a lot of the slides, just FYI. Just to give you guys some background on Marcus Alert, like Chief said, it was passed after that 2018 death. It was defined in the bill as a set of protocols to initiate a behavioral health response to a behavioral health crisis. We want to try to divert individuals away from hospitalization when possible, away from the legal system, and really connect them with resources that they need in that moment, and then work on a specialized response by law enforcement when diversion is not feasible. Oh gosh. There's multiple things that are happening. Okay. So Marcus Alert, let me tell you what Marcus Alert stands for. It's very long. It's a very, we shorten it to Marcus every single time. But it stands for Mental Health Awareness Response and Community Understanding Services Alert System. And so it was named after that individual that the chief was discussing. Mm-hmm. But it is broken down into 3 protocols. So protocol 1 is that 911/PSAP diversion. And that's what he was talking about when the caller calls into 911 in a behavioral health crisis, or if they're calling about somebody else who's in a crisis. Traditionally, law enforcement would be dispatched to that. They would handle the call. Marcus Alert allows collaboration between local PSAPs and a 988 call center, Frontier Health, which is actually located in Tennessee, right? Yes, I think it's located in Tennessee. Because of where we are in Southwest Virginia, that was the closest call center. But it will actually allow Roanoke County's and Benton's dispatch to triage the calls and transfer the person in crisis when appropriate to a clinician that works for 988, for the National Suicide Hotline, and save an officer from being dispatched at that point. Protocol 2 is regional mobile crisis backup. These are statewide teams of clinicians who are able to respond to calls that only a clinician is necessary for. So again, saving that law enforcement response. And the Frontier Health is it you? Frontier Health is also going to be dispatching those clinicians as well. So some more time saved for our law enforcement partners and getting that appropriate response to the person who is in crisis. And then Protocol 3 is a specialized law enforcement response. So you'll see that Protocol 1 was required for all agencies regardless of population size, and Protocols 2 and 3 were required for localities with populations greater than 40,000 individuals served, and optional for others. I cannot speak higher of the Vinton Police Department and all of our police departments in the Roanoke Valley, because every single one of these departments knows that they deal with mental health calls on a daily basis. It's a huge part of their job, and every single agency opted to do this together, which I think just speaks volumes for our Roanoke Valley public safety providers.
So when the 911 call comes in, it goes, of course, to them, and then they immediately go to you. Is that correct?
No. The officers will sometimes call me for consultation and things like that. But when a 911 call comes in, it's going to dispatch, and dispatch is handling the calls and dispatching the appropriate response at this time. They don't have, as of right now, an option to dispatch a clinician.
Okay. So they send the officer.
They send the
Then the
officer.
officer goes to, tries to, of course, do the work on the scene and then get,
Use or make a decision. Where she comes in is the resources, because we still have CTAC available, which is in Louisville, where officers are working off duty to watch a patient that's part of an emergency custody order or they're in custody because of a mental health crisis. So that stuff is still in play. The goal here is to get on the front end and have a clinician available on the front end and potentially not have to go to a hospital and set up those safety plans on site at the residence with an officer present. It depends on circumstance, of course, and keep in mind this is a very new project, so there's obviously going to be a lot of things to work through. Does that answer the question?
it did, yes, sir.
Traditionally, the police are going
Right.
until this thing
Right.
comes into effect.
And you'll see the goals here, like he was saying, we want to accelerate access to care. The huge goals here statewide are reduced likelihood of physical confrontation and injury. The legislators didn't want what happened in Richmond to happen again when it's involving a person in mental health crisis. So we want to decrease unnecessary arrest and detention, again, decrease hospitalizations and the use of jails as treatment facilities, improve communications across partner systems. We work better together. If we can pool all of our resources together, we can make it a smoother process, and then address racial disparities in response and access. So this just kind of illustrates, what happens when that caller and behavioral health crisis calls in. Like we were saying, right now, it only goes to PSAPs. Now, callers, there was a big push last summer for the National Suicide Hotline and not to transfer into 988 and using that number. So you've got 988 for behavioral health crisis and 911 for all the other crises. But in this system, the caller in behavioral health crisis could call either 988 or the PSAP. Both of those centers are going to triage their call based on a 4-level system, which you'll see here in just a second, and then match their response to what that triaged level is. So these are the statewide levels, the 4-level urgency triage. And so by the end of 2028, every single PSAP across the state of Virginia will be triaging mental health related calls based on these levels. So level 1, just for example, a distressed caller appropriate for phone intervention with a trained behavioral health professional with referrals for services within 72 hours. These are going to be individuals who do not have any homicidal thoughts, intent, or behavior. They may have suicidal thoughts, no plan, no means, just need somebody to talk to in that moment. They're having a rough day, they need somebody to talk to. Sending the PD, not the best resource for that, right?
Right.
They've got other calls holding. I spend a lot of time in dispatch as well. I see the calls that are coming through. We can better utilize their time elsewhere. So the PSAP will be able to transfer those calls to the regional call center where their clinicians will be able to step in and take over that phone call and connect them to resources. Level 2 is our moderate, so these are distressed callers with immediate need of in-person behavioral support. Again, no homicidal thoughts, intent, or behavior. Suicidal thoughts here, no plan, no direct access to lethal weapons. It could be some minor self-injurious behavior, pulling hair, scratching their arms, things like that. Nothing that's going to require immediate medical attention. Again, they will be able to transfer those calls to a clinician at the regional call center. Those clinicians have the ability to dispatch out the clinician-only response teams that are state teams. The closest one to our valley is located in the New River Valley, but they have people who cover the Roanoke Valley, and so they'll be able to send those teams out. Again, no law enforcement going, behavioral health response to a behavioral health need. Where we see the in-person response coming into play in the Roanoke Valley is level 3 and level 4. You'll see level 3 is active aggression, florid psychosis, hallucinations, delusions, things like that. Homicidal thoughts with no active behaviors or intent, active cutting with concern for a medical risk, suicidal thoughts with plan and access to lethal weapons, or a magistrate-issued emergency custody order. And so what we had to do in the Roanoke Valley when we all started working on this together was decide what our law enforcement response was going to be, what that specialized law enforcement response from Protocol 3 it was going to look like. And what we decided as a collective group was that it was going to be co-response, truly embedding clinicians in the local police departments and sheriff's offices who are participating so that the officers have another tool on their tool belt to be able to use with these calls. So level 4, like he said, you're going to send who you send all the time. If they call in and a person falls under this level, it's a direct, immediate threat to life, active suicide attempt, active assault on others. If there's any gun or weapon present, if it's a magistrate-issued emergency custody order with a threat for safety, the PSAPs are going to dispatch law enforcement to those calls. The difference here with bringing co-response into it is that the same way that EMS would stage in a situation like that where there was a weapon present or a barricade situation or hostage situation or things like that, the clinician can also, the therapist can also stage. And whenever that immediate threat is removed or stabilized, you've got a person right there on scene that can step in and hopefully help to make the process go a little bit smoother. So again, every PSAP across the state will be using this urgency triage system by the end of 2028. These are just briefly what our responses will be, kind of what I talked about on the last slide, that we've got that option for the co-response therapist to be dispatched to the scene as well. There's been a lot of work that's gone into this because there's a lot of PSAPs in the Roanoke Valley, a lot of law enforcement agencies, different personalities, different plans, different CAD systems when you talk about the dispatch world. So a lot of work that I'm just really proud of all of our partners for participating thus far. So I really don't know if that's me. You? Okay. That's just kind of a peek into what we've been doing. We all started coming together this past summer, like September, to really decide what we wanted this to look like. I've said from the very beginning, what we start with won't be what we end with as far as how the response looks at different times. In the state, the state is divided into 5 regions by the Department of Behavioral Health and Disability Services. The Roanoke Valley falls under Region 3. And so the way that they're implementing Marcus Alert legislation is to roll it out in one CSB, Community Service Board, of each region at a time. And so last summer, the Washington County area rolled their plan out. This summer it's us. Next summer it will be a different person or a different CSB in our region. So far 5 communities have this. We'll be in that second group of 5. We have worked on developing formal agreements. I believe you guys have a copy of the MOU in front of you that we've all developed. We know that this has gone well in other parts of the country, and so we really wanted to reach out to those other parts of the country that are doing this well and get ideas from them, what's worked, what hasn't worked, what would you recommend, and so we've done that along the process too. And that's really helped to guide our planning for this. Our funding that the state is providing will allow us to hire 5 therapists initially. We have 3 of those therapists hired already, so I'm very proud of that. Just like law enforcement, mental health it's not exactly, overflowing with candidates that are applying for jobs. So I think that the mental health field is really excited about this. I think it's something that we've seen, like I've said, done in other areas, and the 3 therapists that we have already hired are really excited to get in there and get going. So we believe we're planning to start July 1st. Hopefully we'll have those other 2 therapists hired by then, and if not, then we'll just be riding along right with them. Next steps, we are waiting on the final approval from DBHDS for our plan, obviously getting signatures on from our participating partners on that MOU, finish hiring the clinicians, training the clinicians. We are going to train every single dispatcher in the Roanoke Valley before July 1st. So we have 3 training dates set for that. We've developed the training. The state did not provide training for us, so we've all come together as a group and developed that. We will be training the officers and the deputies this is all going to be brand new for. We'll be training the clinicians at the police academy and getting them some safety training as well. So a lot of stuff going into this, and then also building the network of resources together. So we're partnering with other resources in the Roanoke Valley, the Rescue Mission, the VA, the Council of Community Services, places like that, to make sure that these clinicians have access to all the resources that they would need out on the streets.
Cool. Very good.
And that's it.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for that explanation. This is something new, at least to me, I guess to most of us up here. Well, obviously, it's a need that exists, certainly in our community and throughout the state. So really excited that this much work has been done already. Of course, it sounds like you've got a lot of work to do. So,
That's right, that's right.
Yeah. So, Council, you have any questions or comments?
No, nice presentation.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
Very good, very good. All right, Council, you have before you a resolution that would approve the MOU as we've heard described here this evening by Mandy Lee and Chief Drummond. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Mullins, a second by Vice Mayor Stovall. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember McCarty?
Yes.
Councilmember Mullins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stovall?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes. Thank you, folks, and again, thank you for that presentation. Very good. Thank you. Very good indeed. Okay, next item, I understand Marshall's going to talk with us about a performance agreement, right? Yes, sir. All right. Good evening, Marshall.
Hey, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. If it's okay with y'all, I think we're actually going to switch up the order of the performance agreement since we have Mr. Pate with us here tonight. So a little background of this project. This is the former Star City Playhouse building at the corner of Gusnix and 107 South Pollard. Construction's been underway. You've probably seen some of the renovations. You may have even seen the recent welcome event mural that recently went up, so really beautifying that gateway. So we're really excited about that project. We have entered into a performance agreement to help out Mr. Pate and his company continue this project and fill gaps in order to push it across the finish line. He has made a significant private investment of $1.2 million, and we are going to help out with providing $205,000 to Mr. Pate and his company. And those payments will come in a few different forms. $155,000 will come following the issuance of a Roanoke County certificate of occupancy, and then $50,000 will be reimbursed after 1 year of him producing at least $50,000 in tax revenue. So some details about the project. It's going to have 2,000 square feet of interior dining space as well as 1,000 square feet of seasonal outdoor dining space. So just like some other restaurants that we're seeing in downtown, we're going to have some more outdoor space, people being outside, enjoying the downtown, get some of that placemaking, and we'll provide around the $155,000 will be through various building improvements, utility connections, and things like that. And that's just a little bit of background about the project. We also have Jonathan Pate here to discuss any further details. I don't want to steal his thunder, so if you have any questions for him, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer some.
Okay. Mr. Pate, did you want to say anything in particular? Or?
Sure. I just want to thank the town for the support and the resources. The project has been it's been interesting, but I don't really like to build square box restaurants. I really want to build something that wasn't only unique to Vinton, but would draw surrounding areas. We're excited about the way things have come together, and hope to finish up the majority of the construction in May, and hopefully look for a midsummer opening.
Awesome.
Cool.
That sounds great. We're all
We're
excited.
definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It looks fabulous.
Yeah.
Excited to get it done.
I can understand.
Well, I tell you, everyone's asking. That's one of the main questions I receive these days. So that's good news. Glad to hear that.
Everybody's pleased with it enough, and so,
Yeah.
trying.
Looks
Yeah.
wonderful so far.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Oh, yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, great job on it.
I mean, look, Jonathan's been working so hard. Like, he hurt himself today and then came to council meeting even.
Wow.
He's been working so hard down there.
Way to go. We appreciate your effort. Okay. Marcia, do you have anything else you want to add, or is that it?
No, it's just been great working with Mr. Pate so far. He has a few different restaurants throughout the region. Most recently, one that's opened is Cast Plates and Pints on 419. So if you've been there, you like the food, you're going to like the food and the style that you're seeing here. It's going to be different. It's going to have its own event and flair. But, you know, he's a trusted partner throughout the region, so we're excited to work with him.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, we like vent and flair. I like the way you put
Yeah, I
that,
like
Marcia.
that.
Yeah.
That's good.
That can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. Okay, council, you have before you a resolution that would approve the performance agreement that we've heard described here this evening by Marshall.
I'll make a motion.
All right.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Lyles, second by Councilmember McCarty. Antonio, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles,
Yes.
Councilmember McCarty,
Yes.
Councilmember Mullins.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stovall,
Yes.
Mayor Gross.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Good to have you in
Thank you.
Benton.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Jonathan.
you. Sir?
All right. And our second and final performance agreement of the night is for the Cleveland Mart redevelopment project. These are with two local developers, Dominic Bazil and Chris Dowdy. Neither of them could be here tonight, but they are local developers who have worked on a few different projects. They have many years of experience in home renovations, commercial real estate, so they know what they're doing, and they're doing a great job so far. So just a little bit of details about this project. This is the former Cleveland Mart space. It's two properties, 522 and 528 East Cleveland Avenue, that's at the corner of Pine Street and East Cleveland. They are putting also a significant private investment into the project of $1.1 million, and we will be helping them out with a total not to exceed $250,000. And that will be in the form of cash reimbursements as well as in-kind, so some things that we can use in-house to help buy down that cost for them while saving some money. We're helping them out in that way. Some improvements that they're making are site remediation, blight removal, sanitary sewer connections, utility installations, and things like that, and then, of course, improving the facade of the project. What it's going to yield is around 1,000 square feet of commercial space for some kind of retail or office use, as well as at least 6 potentially 7 residential units, ranging from 700 square feet to 900 square feet. So we're getting a nice mixed-use project out of this. We're adding to that housing inventory that the entire region is feeling. So we're creating more opportunities there, as well as creating some more commercial opportunities. Something that's really important, like I mentioned, is the blight removal aspect of this. Currently, there is the Cleveland Mart, not very attractive, and then to the left of it, if you're looking on East Cleveland Avenue, you have a house and a trailer, even less attractive. So those are going to be demoed in the next 2 weeks, and they're going to hold on to that land and potentially develop further, but they're just going to focus on the East Cleveland redevelopment project at this point. They have closed on the property, and they have began some dumping. We're going to begin the demolition in 2 weeks, and the project timeline should be about a year. They feel confident that they may finish before that. We're going to provide them $187,500 over the course of 5 payments, which will be paid out to them as they reach certain benchmarks. And then we're going to hold the final $62,500 once they receive their certificate of occupancy. Removing blight, revitalizing the neighborhood, creating housing inventory, as well as commercial opportunities.
Great, great, sounds good. Council, you have any questions for Marshall or comments?
Also move a resolution.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Mayor to approve the resolution for the performance agreement, and a second by Councilmember Lyles. Antonio, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember McCarty?
Yes.
Councilmember Mullins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stovall?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes. Did I say the wrong one name? Oh, all right, you were the one that made the motion, right? Okay,
You call me Vice Mayor Lyles, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
And the last thing that I'll add is.
You did fine. You didn't mess
You can convince me I'm gullible. Go ahead.
We did get a really attractive conceptual rendering of what the building is going to look like yesterday for the community meeting that we had last night. Anyone that hasn't seen that, we'll share that with you so you can get an idea of what it's going to look like.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And, I'm really happy that these folks are doing that project. Just to show you what kind of developers they are, they did hold a public meeting with the assistance of the town, several staff members, and it's my understanding that technically or legally they didn't have to do that. And, they just wanted the community to know what was going on, and there's always a lot of questions and everything. So I thought it was a really great move on their part.
Emails. Can you email us a picture of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, appreciate that. Thanks.
Thanks for your work on those.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right. Okay, thank you, Marshall. Yeah, hello, Anita.
Nita's turn.
All right, yeah, it's your turn.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Town Council. This is about the proposed Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreational for the recreational trail programs. And in the past, this grant funding is to build trail. Mr. Mayor Gross know about Wolf Creek Greenway. We built that in 1999 through the DCR Recreational Trail Program, and Roanoke County applied the same grant, and they completed, the town completed from Hardy Road to Washington in 1999, and then Roanoke County completed from Washington to Stonebridge Park in 2001, and then the last phase of that, the surface trail from Stonebridge Park to Blue Ridge Parkway, was completed in 2007. This grant application this year, what they would like to do, they open it for existing trail improvement or to provide amenities. And you know that since 2000, the town has provided portable bathroom there. So for once, we would like to be able to provide a restroom that people don't, a lot of people don't like to use potty john. So having said that, one of the requirements is have to be fully accessible restroom. So we have provided you with the rendering of the Denali is 2 single-use fully accessible restroom, and to also to improve the existing trailhead parking. Basically, with this grant funding, we have to provide 1 accessible parking space, a concrete path to the bathroom, and a loop to the existing trail. I do back in 2000 when we did that, and then subsequent improvement, I do have one Roanoke County employee that have wheelchair that tasked to make sure that trail is accessible. And having said that, I would like to thank Frank McGuire, the Roanoke Valley Greenway Coordinator. Roanoke County Transportation Engineer Brian Appley is helping with the conceptual plan, and Jamie Hurt to come up with the budget. So if you look at the budget that we submitted to you, the estimated project cost is $233,750, and it's 80-20 grant requirement. So the grant is about $187,000, and the town match of $46,750 will come from cash. Pete has earlier showed that about $36,000 cash from the town, and the rest will be from the public works employee that will be helping us with that improvement of the parking. The bathroom is precast building, so we have contacted 3 vendors that meet the grant requirement. Basically, Buy America fully still, making sure, because there is a federal money, so we do have to meet that. So I do have before you a resolution for the town manager to submit and sign the necessary form in order for the town to submit this agreement. The grant is due next week. So I also like to thank Town Attorney, Mr. Carroll, looking at the resolution. So to meet that requirement, we do have to have a resolution that the town is, the town manager to submit the grant application. I'd be happy to answer any question that you may have.
Okay, thank you, Anita. Council, any questions, comments? I'm excited to hear about this application. And Jeremy, thank you for your assistance. I know you're involved in a lot of these things, so we appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank
certainly.
you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, you do.
I guess I didn't realize it was not so long finished project before an actual restroom was going to be. I mean,
Yeah.
I just always think it's there. Like I didn't realize
I know.
Yeah.
1999 and.
Yeah, we had, since 1999, and, and everybody been asking, when are we going to put a real bathroom? Real bathroom.
Yeah, we built a bridge in 1999. I still got a scar there.
So, yeah, we spent, it was $30,000 grant, and $7,000 is to basically buy the hardware for the bridge, and the mayor and the group of volunteers built that bridge, and it's assessed by town insurance at $70,000, that pedestrian bridge.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
we can't build trail for $30,000 now.
No, no way. You're right. Well, thank you, Anita, very much for that information. As she said, we have a resolution before us that would approve the application. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember McCarty and a second by Councilmember Mullins. Antonio, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles,
Yes.
Councilmember McCarty,
Yes.
Councilmember Mullins.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stovall,
Yes.
Mayor Gross.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank
Thank
you. Yeah, thank you a lot. I know what you mean, Councilmember Mullins, time flies. It sure
does.
Okay, with that, we'll go to the town manager's report.
Just a couple of comments. I just wanted to thank the Public Works Department and the Police Department and the Community Programs Department for their work to assist with the Dogwood Festival this past weekend. It was an incredible amount of turnout. I mean, we were blessed with a beautiful day, but without our own staff manning the stations and doing the behind the scenes, it wouldn't be able to be possible. So I just want to thank them for their continued support of those community events. It really makes the town shine. All the preparations that go into that day, but then actually the execution. So thank you for them. And again, thanks to Cody and Andrew for all their extra hours in the last several weeks preparing the budget. I got the easy part. I got to stand in front of you and present it, but they did the bulk of the work. So thanks to those two for their efforts. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And I certainly agree with you on both of those items. Don't see any reports from committees or appointments, so council members will turn it over to you. Vice Mayor, you have anything further this evening?
I'm with Mr. Peters down there. I think it was an hour after we got off the truck, and my phone rang, and it was a friend of mine he said he'd been to 19 of them, and he said he thought it was the best, most well-organized Dogwood Parade he'd ever seen. So they came down about 10 o'clock Saturday. He said he absolutely loved how you could do the car show, leave there, go by the vendors, then go on down to the middle of town, get to the farmer's market, hang out down there a little while, and then watch a parade. And so I echo to everybody, to every one of you that put that on. And and to staff, once again, as being a member of the Finance Committee, and to the town naturally, and to the people, but naturally the budget. I mean, it's as Mr. Lyle said, and naturally he's been here longer than me, but the best. I mean, it's you look at it, it's an absolute, when you tag all the bases, when you tag all of them, you end up at home plate and with a home run. So we've tagged them all this year, and we're gonna get a home run. So congratulations.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, you have anything further?
Well, I echo the Dogwood Festival and Parade. It was fabulous. We had a great time. And I really enjoyed spending the route with you guys. It was fun. It was good to see.
Fun.
It was good to see citizens out and people we hadn't seen in a while and doing it together. And after reading that proclamation, I'm going to save my voice for the hockey game. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. All right. I love it. Ma'am, you have anything further?
I too think it was a really great festival. I'm so happy because every year we seem to have rain, and this year it was so nice, so I was so happy about that, because so much work goes into that, and so many people play such big parts in it, and it's just great when you can have a good day and good participation. But the other cool thing is coming through town after the festival's over, you wouldn't have even known that there was a festival.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, our public works and police department are just awesome.
They were all over it.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Mr. Lyles?
Same.
Ditto.
Same. Different, for the last, say, month, I guess it is, that it is so nice going through the town now with the signal lights being synchronized, and
Yeah.
the time is, I think, Pete, you said it, if you may hit one stoplight throughout your journey through the town now, and it's right. I mean, you can go right. Telling about the festival. I mean, traffic just moved out of here.
Yeah.
Last year it was here for probably the same amount of time that the Dogwood Festival was going on. So, it really improved how we move traffic through here. So great job.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. That's one of those things. It's an improvement in town. You don't necessarily see it, but you sure do feel it.
Right.
And so it's a big improvement. I appreciate the staff jumping on that. Folks, I won't belabor this a whole lot, but I certainly agree with you about the Dogwood Festival. It was great this year, and of course the weather really helped a lot. A lot of people worked hard on it, and the young ladies on the court this year were just really nice folks, nice ladies to work with. Jeremy, I didn't mean to just brush over lightly what you do on those resolutions and everything. We know you're involved. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it.
And we know you work hard in addition to wearing spiffy ties, so we like seeing you around here. Again, just briefly, I'd like to mention, and I'm not sure if it was included in your list, but several staff members and I did celebrate Clean Valley Day the other day. We went down Bypass Road and around one of the water retention ponds, so it was good. We found everything from the usual trash to even some car parts. It's amazing to me the things that you can find on that. And I wanted to particularly thank, I don't know who all was involved, to be honest with you, Marshall and Pete, as they made a presentation over to the Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission. They talked about some of the things that were going on in Vinton. Really made us proud. They presented a lot of information. But as Pete and I talked later, there's so much going on, and so much has gone on in the last couple of years that we could have taken up their entire meeting over there if we wanted to hit it all. But you guys did a nice job on that, so appreciate that. All right. Anything else to come before council this evening? I hear there's a game tonight.
Go Dogs.
That's right.
All right. All right. If there's nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, head for the game.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, folks. God bless.
Decide on dinner?